100% sure that at this very moment, each one of us has a zillion free-flowing thoughts in our mind. Can we stop, pause this free flow? Absolutely not. This is not something that we can do by switching on or off a push button. We might very confidently say that I have the liberty to create any thought I want in my mind. But can you, with just as much confidence, say that every single thought of yours has seen the light of the day? We cannot. So what is it that we can do other than just getting carried away in this cascade of free-flowing thoughts that add no value to our life? The answer to this question shall be the centrality of our journey today through the streets of my experiences and learning. Well, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Rita Jairath. I am 53 years old and one of the pioneering women bodybuilding athletes from India. It gives me immense pleasure to be here, and I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all of you here today. COVID has helped us to evolve in many ways: physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, socially, and on many other facets. Most of us here would agree that we as a society are not yet ready to perceive the concept of evolution beyond the Charles Darwin's theory from the biology textbook. But in the first place, what is the need to perceive evolution differently? Well, there certainly is a need. Evolution is not just a physical process, it is also a psychological one. Evolution is not just what grows out of your body or flows through your veins. It also means what flows through your mind and consciousness. This may sound like Greek and Latin right now, so let me pull in a metaphor to simplify what I mean and put it in perspective. We are shorter, lighter, and smaller boned than how our ancestors were 100,000 years ago. This is what I mean when I say evolving physically. From walking hundreds of miles to the invention of the wheel is what I mean when I say evolving psychologically. Here I'm talking about evolving above a hostile environment to survive and stand tall. We must look upon evolution as a component of the journey of the universe that we are all watching. We as human beings have the capability to look at everything from a detached perspective, even if it is the story of our own life. We can watch the story of our own life from a detached perspective. All of us here are constantly creating a zillion thoughts. These thoughts are unique, and if channelized or directed properly, they can bring about a metamorphosis, a revolution, a turning point, not just in our own lives, but also in the society as a whole. To put these thoughts to practice and to materialize them, we need two things. The first is to be consciously aware of these thoughts, and the second is to be consistent and have an incorrigible optimism. But do you think that this is just a two-step process, and now that we know these two steps, we can simply achieve great heights? Well, we are all already aware of all the steps. We all know what needs to be done to find our life in the right direction. But then what is it that stops us from going ahead and moving forward despite knowing the way towards light? The issue is that we perceive evolving for good as a painful process, as if settling down and compromising on our dreams was not painful enough. The fact is that giving up and not evolving is pain, and to fall and rise is progress. Talking about pain and progress reminds me of an incident in my life that helped me to feel and sense the beauty in attempting to perceive things differently before giving up and drowning in grief about it. Since my birth, my mother suffered from persistent auditory hallucinations and schizophrenia. Well, I thought it was God's plan to code and condition my mind ahead of time so that I could deal with mental pressure later in life. But if you look at it in a different way, or rather the right way, the more desirable way, do you think it is mental pressure, or was it an opportunity for me to love and care for my mother, whose existence defines my very presence in front of you today? When I thought of it as an opportunity to love and care for my mother, it was no longer an element of mental pressure. My life has always been about striving for love. And the only way out for me was to put my best foot forward to win the love and admiration of all. As destiny may have it, I got married early with a desire to win love and affection from my in-laws and get an opportunity to study so that I could rise and shine. However, I soon realized that this was nearly impossible in a typical Orthodox patriarch Indian family. And to add to these series of events that were bringing me down, my son was diagnosed with autism. Well, what do you think? Every path that I walked on seemed to come to a dead end. It was exactly when I was told that my son would be non-verbal that I surrendered my entire life without a single thought and decided that no matter how long it takes, I would give it a try even if I fail. But just to think about it is not even halfway to success. Long things cut short, I did the weirdest possible things to somehow make it happen. We strived tenaciously to get there. Today, he is a postgraduate from UK and is doing an online job. And although we are still faced with infinite, incredible challenges, at least we know that we are on the right track. And hence, we were able to bring about a change not just in our own life but in the society by setting an example that it is possible and adding to the collective consciousness. And then in 2004-05, when weight training in women was frowned upon, I studied, I qualified myself, and then went on to compete to become the pioneering IFBB Pro women bodybuilding athlete from India. And today, I am the first and the only IFBB Pro League women bodybuilding international judge in Asia. However, the one who begins first is always teased, ridiculed, and laughed at. Today, when I see hundreds of women bodybuilders come forward, I see myself being manifested over and again. The same thought sprouted in hundreds of minds. Needless to say that their sources of motivation might have been different. Hear me out on this. The one who rejects change is an architect of decay. This is not just a prophecy, it is clear math. Let me make it simple. Would walking on the same path towards your home 100,000 times take you to the sky? Walking on the same path will not take you to a different place. In this world of uncertainties, a newer version of you might win you more love and admiration from the society that you interact with. So why not at least attempt changing for the good? Talking about love and admiration, not everyone is as ecstatic about receiving them. But when I, as an individual, began my journey, these were nothing but mere acquaintances. I value these now. Love and admiration mean life to me. With all the receiving that I have talked about, there is one thing that I strongly believe in, and that is to give back. It is my desire as well as duty to set an example and be a guiding light to convey how women's bodybuilding must be perceived, how it must unfold, so that it becomes a more inclusive sport. This is a social and noble cause, and not just gross competition. Bodybuilding has an intrinsic value. Building your body means building every infinitesimal aspect of your body. And to build every infinitesimal aspect of your body, you need to understand what bodybuilding is all about in its truest perspective, what it exactly is. Building your body means building your muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, your joint flexibility and mobility, blood volume, pulmonary capacity, resilience, endurance, memory, your spatial visual intelligence, and also to enhance yourself on the spiritual scale. In other words, it means to become the best version of yourself on all planes. However, to be very specific, I'd say that every person who strives to gain muscle and lose fat, eats calibrated meals, exercises and trains, and practices self-control and resilience is essentially a bodybuilder, even if he or she is not a competing athlete. I have seen hundreds of bodybuilders feeling demoralized when they lose the limelight or are not able to sustain their peak form. The key is to carry with us the essence of bodybuilding in perspective. My wish here is to set an example to demonstrate how we can use bodybuilding to enhance and explore ourselves, to live our life to its fullest potential. Retiring gracefully is a blessing, and the best way to do it is to remain associated with the field that you love, to create a path that others may love and follow and remain at peace with themselves. I have been able to do this in two ways. One is to strive to monetize it, to pour life into my future, my old age, my son's future, so that he can be economically secure and live a life of dignity even after I am gone. The second is to fulfill my need of self-actualization. For it was bodybuilding that helped me to take my strength and wellness to the next level. I never allowed any desire for limelight or glory or followers to overpower the cause of bodybuilding, and that is why I have been able to pursue all my dreams, even though now I am well into my 50s. So what about the thoughts that have been close to your heart but you have not been able to pursue them? Are they worth going back to? Definitely yes. And so I pursued my incomplete journey in Bharatanatyam after a gap of 25 years. I am grateful that I have been able to restart it in the first place. I might not have been as ecstatic about it had I done it back then. Indian classical arts are created and designed in such a way that they make you a very complete person. So even if you're not a great exponent or an expert in these, they help you to evolve, progress, build and enhance your mind, body and soul. Here I see the convergence of various fitness modalities. So despite striving to sculpt my body strictly according to the textbook, training with weights, competing every now and then, and even winning medals for the country, there were still a few things that I wasn't able to achieve with my body. when I began practicing the Aramandi squat position in Bharatanatyam that uses the body's own weight and resistance, I began seeing great improvements in myself. Doing isometric holds with conscious awareness and learning steps helped me to improve my reflexes and memory. And although these are not the conventional textbook styles of training in bodybuilding, I was able to get better strength and symmetry in my body than even in my competing days. My journey has been very unique and very unconventional. Needless to say that you are not born with a list of rules to go about your life with. What matters is reaching the summit and not the path taken to reach there. I'm sure that the path of realization and experiences that you have walked with me today will add value to your respective journeys in its own unique way.